Just to fill you in on the background here, Rotherham Social Services have recently removed some black foster children from a family because of their membership to UKIP, which they interpret as being racist. Now that's what I've heard through the media. We are all racist. The reason we're all racist is that we all make generalisations, we all use inductive reasoning, and we all tend to trust what other people tell us. Although racism is an example of faulty overgeneralisation and faulty inductive reasoning, inductive reasoning is generally widely used in the way we work with our minds. Therefore, we can't have an area which we cordon off from inductive reasoning in that way. Bertrand Russell imagined a rooster that every morning got fed when the sun came up. One morning, the sun comes up and he gets his throat sliced and he gets eaten. He wasn't expecting that because of his faulty inductive reasoning. Just because something has always happened beforehand, it doesn't mean it always will happen. Racism is part of that. Now, I would also want to say that some of us are anti-racist and some of us are not. If we assume that we are not racist, any residual racism that we have will never be reduced. We are setting ourselves up as self-righteous and as having nothing to learn. We can't accuse other people of being racist without admitting that we are also racist ourselves. It will never reduce our racism if we assume we are the anti-racist and other people are not. And there are two categories of people who will never reduce their racism. One is obviously the anti-racists. The other is people who are frankly racist. People who are, for example, white supremacists. These two groups of people belong together. Anti-racists, who imagine that they are the non-racist people and that others are racist, and white supremacists, etc. Those two belong together. The other people are people who acknowledge that they're racist and attempt to reduce their racism. Those other people are not attempting to reduce their racism, so they have more in common with each other than they have with us. Now, an example of how it might backfire. Suppose there was some mythical method of measuring IQ that was accurate and meaningful, and it is discovered that white Northern Europeans are more intelligent than black Sub-Saharan Africans. One reaction to that might be to suppress that result because it appears to be racist. However, what if the explanation for that was that in utero, black Sub-Saharan African fetuses don't have sufficient nutrition from their mothers for their brains to develop as well as they would otherwise, and in infancy and childhood that process continues with the result that they are cognitively less able when they become adults. That fact will never be discovered if that result is suppressed. That is an example of the kind of negative result that happens when racism is used as an ideology in this way. There is another aspect to this, which is what issues are we missing? We're focusing on racism. How do we know that these people are poor parents in other ways? What if there are perfectly non-racist people, who are of course mythical, who are actually really bad parents? Why would it be better for the children to be fostered by them than these people? And the other thing about that is that parenting is quite an unquantifiable thing. It's not possible to measure parenting. We are accepting apparently quantifiable quasi-mythical racism of UKIP as a reason for not allowing this to happen, and at the same time ignoring all the unquantifiable but more important qualities of parenting that could have led to these people having a good experience. This approach needs to be more reflective, and we need to avoid self-righteousness. We need to recognise that we are all human, that we all fail in this area, and that we need to think of things holistically, think of things reflectively, and decide that nobody is necessarily beyond the pale, even if we think they're racist, because we are also racist, and we will never be less racist unless we admit that.